What is up, everyone? Welcome to the Spanish Grand Prix question and answer stream. If it is all going according to plan, let me see here. Nixie is in here saying, "What have you done yet?" I'm not entirely sure. Did I do something? Um. Oh, you know what? I did something different there. Hold on. Let me clear that. There we go. I was supposed to do a poll. I hit question and answer, but what is up, everyone? Hope you are having a happy Wednesday. It is a little rainy and gloomy here in southern Germany. Let me see here. Okay. Did we like Monaco's to stop rule? There we go. I think that'll do it. Hopefully I did. Okay, there we go. Question and answer. I think it has been sorted. Bada bing, bada boom. Get your votes in. 28 people watching already. It's only like 30 seconds into the stream. But what is up, everyone? Hope everyone is having a fantastic Wednesday. Let me know if I sound all right. If I look all right. I probably don't look all right. Just a little bit tired. There's 29 minutes until the biggest game of the week, if you ask me. It is Chelsea versus Real Betis in the Europa Conference League final. Like, I know there's another game going on in Munich or something this Saturday, but yeah, hopefully you guys can stick around after the 30-minute mark to hang out and talk some F1 fantasy. 82% of people are saying that they did not like the Monaco Grand Prix, switching it up. But yeah, man, oh man, was that an hour and a half of our lives that we're probably not going to get back. But we don't have to talk about that too much if you don't want to. We can talk about whatever you want. This is pretty much a free-for-all F1 fantasy chit-chat every Wednesday before the Grand Prix starts. I think I've done these for every race this season, maybe except the first one. And it's awesome. I love these chats. So many good ideas coming from you guys. And it makes me think a lot. It kind of like makes me consider my answers to y'all's questions and everything that goes on in between. And it's just great to kind of have a little bit more relaxed structure before like a deadline stream or something like that going on. But yes, we are, this is F1 Fantasy Pole Position. My name is Ewan. It is Wednesday, May 28th. Hopefully you guys are having a good time. And yeah, we are almost at 3,200 subscribers on the YouTube channel. So if you are checking in right now and you are not one of those subscribers, hit that subscribe button. Would greatly appreciate it that you can help me out. Trying to get to 3,200 by the end of the triple header. So let's see how it goes. And what should we do? I guess we'll just get into the chat because there's enough of y'all here. 43 people are in the chat, 8 likes. My goal for every episode is always to have at least 50% likes from the live viewers. Nixie is in the chat saying, good evening, lads. Cash Conovan, 65th in the world with $112 million budget, limitless and 3X use. Final fix, no negative, and autopilot still available. Love that, Cash. When did you use your 3X? Let me know in the comments. Urasoto says, love that Stroll #1 overtaker last race. Monaco sure delivers headlines. Is everyone really that slow? It was brutal. Caleb is in the chat. What is up, Caleb? Hello, awesome limitless. Yes, I like that they changed. Hopefully they do something with the chicane though. Yeah, I've seen a lot of like kind of different variations of the track coming out and stuff, but that is a 2026 F1 fantasy problem at this point. Nixie says it wasn't even a race for me. Caleb says my team under limitless gained 1.6 million. Saturday was great throw. Yeah, the qualifying was fantastic. There's a video of me on my X account at F1 Fantasy Ewan, if you guys want to follow me there. I was just like freaking out watching qualify. My wife thought something was wrong, so she started filming me while I was on my little sun bed or whatever in the Malaga sunshine. She said that she actually missed the best part where like Leclerc gets pole, and I'm like freaking out because I got the 2X on Leclerc, and I'm like, let's go. Even though, like, look at this, I'm wearing a McLaren hoodie, but F1 Fantasy warps your brain. And I was like, let's go. Leclerc on pole, gonna get that win. And then, like, slowly my face is like, oh gosh, McLaren are going for another lap. And then Piastri just misses out, and then Lando nips it at the last second. So great job by McLaren as well. Austin is in the chat. Hey, Ewan, what's better? Piastri, Verstappen, Bortoleto, Colapinto, Hadjar, Bortoleto, McLaren plus V-Carb. Piastri, Leclerc, Bortoleto, Colapinto, Hadjar, Bortoleto, McLaren, Williams. Oh, wait, hold on. Yes, Piastri. Okay, yes. And Williams, or McLaren, Bortoleto, triple McLaren, Bortoleto, Colapinto, Hadjar with kick. I think I prefer Williams. Option 2 there, Austin. Nicholas says, 2 stops is not the answer, but at least they tried something even though it was flawed. Agreed with that, Nicholas. Chris says, good evening, what is up? Sammy says, hey, you and hope all is well, but it's currently late, so I'll just quickly ask before I go. Is Albon, Bortoleto, Mercedes to sign Lawson, Ferrari / Williams for -10 good? May as well milk the Williams while they're still B tier. Yes, you are correct, Sammy. Let's go over here to the budget builder, because, yeah, we are only like Williams 17.1. If we think that the B tier asset is 19 million, we're only looking at 3 or 4 more races of Williams. And as F1 Fantasy or Formula Fantasy Hub Rob pointed out, and we can go over to here, Williams is on like back to back 0.6 million change. They've risen 4 million this season. So like so 1, 2, 3, 4, if the A tier, B tier line is actually 19 million and not somewhere between 18.5 and 19 million, Silverstone is probably going to be the last time that we can get Williams in our team. So if you can get on Williams right now, I don't mind it at all. For -10, I don't mind it. Ferrari are kind of falling out of my thoughts a little bit here, Sammy. I know I just put up my team selection video like 36 hours ago, but if I can find them here, we're looking over here, 2022 Spanish Grand Prix, Sainz, Russell, Hamilton, Leclerc is one of the 2 DNFs over the last 3 seasons here, but Red Bull, mighty strong here. 2023 Spanish Grand Prix, Verstappen, Mercedes, Red Bull, Ferrari, and then, yeah, like Ferrari all the way down there as well in 2023, 2024, Red Bull, McLaren, Mercedes, Ferrari, McLaren. So while in like my early team selection thoughts and then my team selection video yesterday, I was touting Ferrari quite a bit, I am starting to back off of them a little bit just because Monaco was a one-off. And as far as I can tell, like, I'm not too worried about like Red Bull not getting a 0.3 price rise. Like Ferrari is pretty much guaranteed, but Red Bull saves you 1.3 million, pretty much guaranteed a 0.3 price rise. They've got Max Verstappen, who can win every single race. So I am starting to think that it might be Red Bull coming into my team instead of Ferrari this weekend. And also, like, while Mercedes has been melting, as I said in my team selection video, it's also kind of a good track for Mercedes as well. After kind of, you know, you put those videos together, you put them out, and you're like, okay, that was pretty good. It made some content, that stuff. And then, like, you kind of listen to some more podcasts, you do some more reading, you kind of do a little bit more research so you can get prepared for something like tonight. And yeah, start to reconsider things. So I've only got 2 free transfers this week. I'm not super interested in taking a hit. So Red Bull is in my thoughts. And then I'm kind of thinking like any B tier driver other than Alexander Albon and Kimi Antonelli is at my disposal. So who is there that we can look at in the B tier? Liam Lawson, Ollie Behrman, Carlos Sainz, Carlos Sainz with the increased driver of the day odds just because he is a Spanish driver in Spain. But I think you're still good with those moves. Albon, Bortoleto, Mercedes to Sainz, Lawson, and Ferrari/Williams. Like I could still bring in Williams here as well, but that doesn't give me a ton of room. 22.1 million, 0.1 million short of George Russell. Are you kidding me? I just realizing this just now. So that is brutal. So that doesn't really help out my strategy all that much. I mean, there's a world where I guess I run that, huh? I could get out of the Bortoleto business or the Colapinto or Bortoleto business with my second transfer, or I could roll. But I think you're good, Sammy. I think you're good. So yeah, if you need to go off to bed, Sammy, because you're probably partying too hard with all your UEFA Champions League love. 66 people watching, 18 likes. So if you give me like another 15 likes, guys, I'll stop bothering you until the rest of the slackers that are not here yet join the chat. And Vit says, hi, Ewan. I have 107.1 million. I have Norris, Sonoda, Albon, Hadjar, Bortoleto, Mercedes, McLaren, and Kick. What should I change for Spain? I would get Sonoda out and maybe like a Sonoda to a Sainz, and then maybe a Kick to even like a Racing Bulls, because Racing Bulls are in for a price increase here. -24, -14. I think the points they give up, like William, it's like there's the top tier, right? All the A tier. Well, it's McLaren, and then it's Ferrari, Red Bull, Mercedes. Then it's Williams, probably in a tier all by themselves. And then it's like the Racing Bulls, the Haas, and then it's probably Aston Martin and Alpine, that kind of thing. So I think that's where I would go. Will you cover your predictions in this stream, like the F1 Predict game that I forgot to do last week? Oh, I'm sorry. I was on vacation. I just totally slipped my mind. I was kind of like freaking out with the Limitless, so I forgot to do the predictions. But we could do some predictions in a little bit, Sanjit. Let me know if you'd like me to get those up there. Sammy's coming in, trying to get me riled up. Also up the 2, and Liverpool will be dethroned next year. You know, Sammy, if Newcastle want the Premier League, that's fine, because Slot's just going to win the Premier League and then the Champions League in back-to-back seasons and have the greatest start in Liverpool managerial history of all time. Joe Malazzo says the 2-stop was great. It was exciting to see how frustrated drivers were getting in the train. Proved the track isn't fit for today's cars. Yeah, so my wife and I went on like a little walk around the town of Ronda on Sunday, and I was like, it's Monaco. I probably won't miss much. But we were driving back down at like 2:45, and I was like, hey, you know what? Let's throw on F1 TV. I'll listen to it in the audio, like through the CarPlay and stuff like that. And my wife was like, where are they racing this week? And I was like, Monaco. She's like, the Monaco we went to? And I was like, yes, like a couple of years we went to Monaco. And she's like, but your Ford Escape barely fit on those roads. And I was like, yeah. She's like, it was really tight for your Ford. How are they racing F1 cars there? And I was like, well, it's probably not going to be a lot of overtakes and stuff like that. And she's like, so the entire commentator's job is to make something very boring sound exciting. And I was like, yep. So then the entire way down the hill, she was just making fun of the commentators being like, oh, they nearly fooled you into thinking that there was an overtake there, didn't they? And I was like, yeah, okay, whatever. But yeah, she was bang on. So great job by Mrs. F1 Fantasy Pole Position. Yolita says, is it inevitable to sacrifice Albon in order to get rid of Mercedes now? I think it is, Yolita. However, the team I'm running right here is just one free transfer. It's just Mercedes to Williams. Not that bad. It has 8.5 million in the bank, but yeah, that it is what it is there. Jostine says, I have Piastri, Bortoleto, Colapinto, Albon, Gasly, and Williams McLaren at 108 million. Really feeling Sainz and Hadjar for Bortoleto and Gasly, then building to swapping in Ferrari and Austria when Williams probably reached their limit. You're gonna bring in Signs and Hajar for Bordeaux. Yeah, perfect. Justine, you're crushing those moves. Love that. Mojitos instead of sangrias this Saturday, says Jamie. um, yeah, I'll be. So the plan for my content is I got the live stream going right now, obviously, for the next 45 minutes. And then on Saturday, right as FP3 ends, I will be going live on YouTube for an hour. And then I will be jolting off to the train station to hop on a train to go watch Dua Lipa in Munich, which is interesting coordination by like Munich city officials to have Dua Lipa, one of the bigger pop stars in the world, and the Champions League final on the same evening. So yeah, the train will probably be quite rowdy, and I'm sure there'll be a couple of adult beverages flowing as the deadline draws near. I'm just going to tweet out that we are live right now. Come join the rest of us. Come join the... Oh my goodness. Come and join the rest of us. F1. Goodness gracious, I'm typing too fast. For a Q and A before the Spanish Grand Prix. Or go, as Apple wants to keep correcting it to. There we go. Perfect. All right, we are back in business. But yeah, mojitos, they're good. You can have bad mojitos, but some really good mojitos are great. Never says, what are the best long-term budget prospects for the upcoming races? Whew. I do like Carlos Sainz. He has a little bit of a ceiling pick this week, but the 12, the 2, I don't mind that at all. Liam Lawson is good. Isaac Hadjar is good. I think Behrman's going to settle back into kind of being a budget king a little bit here as well. And then Williams for the next 4 races, they keep going up, 0.6. So the first poll of the hour is, did we like Monaco's 2-stop rule? Yes, 28. No, 72%. Ouch. Ouch. All right. Etu says, have you ever considered doing an F1 quiz on stream or not the direction you'd be interested in going? I am always open to doing new types of content and kind of like switching it up, Etu. So if we want to give that a crack, we can do that on the next stream. I mean, with 2 weeks to prepare, I think I could probably get a quiz going. So drop me a message on F1 or on X at F1 Fantasy Ewan, or just like on a YouTube video that I've already done. And I will try to remember to do that for one of the upcoming streams. So right now it's going to be kind of weird because we got, after Spain, we've got a 2-week break to Canada. And then after Canada, we've got a 2-week break to Austria, when we have a double header with Austria and Silverstone, and then like a 3-week break to Belgium. So maybe in that break from Silverstone to Belgium, we could just do like an F1 fantasy quiz on like the first 10, 11, 12 races of the season. Maybe that'd be something fun. So thank you for that recommendation, Etu. We will try to get that in there. Nicholas says 333 from Limitless in Monaco, gained 1.6 million budget, and now that is 113 million. Dang, that is awesome. I'm so ready to swap out Ferrari for Red Bull. Practice will be interesting this weekend, says Chris. I kind of agree there, Chris. Crass Conovan says, I used 3X in Italy. I knew McLaren was going to be first and second. I want to set up for Limitless, so I went kick and triple McLaren, crushing it, Cash Conovan. Eurosoto says, with Piastri, Hadjar, Bortoleto, Colapinto, McLaren, Ferrari, would you change Hulkenberg for Lawson/Sainz and keep a transfer over, or also change Bortoleto for Lawson, Alonso, Sainz? I think it's a little bit of a luxury transfer to switch the kind of bottom of the barrel assets out with Alonso, Colapinto, and Bortoleto. So if you have 3 free transfers and your last transfer would be like a Bortoleto to an Alonso, it might just be more valuable to roll that over Eurosoto. Slugger Lloyd says, coming in with a hot take. Here we go. Oh, man. Hot take. Williams and their drivers won't be worth it after this weekend. Low scoring Monaco means they have to do wonders this weekend. But I think they could do wonders this weekend in Spain. Um, never is. V-carb to Williams right now. Is V-carb greater than Williams right now? Monaco really is a one-off event. So V-carb being greater than Williams last weekend is kind of similar to saying like Ferrari's been better than Red Bull all season. And I don't know if I really believe that, but V-carb crushed it this past weekend. Jimmy C says, "Hey, Ewan, love the videos and lives. I have 111 million, have Piastri, Albon, Sonoda, Borrello, Colapinto with McLaren and Williams. What do I need to change out for Spanish Grand Prix? Oh, and only 2 transfers. Probably Sonoda will be a little bit of a sacrificial lamb here for you, Jimmy. But like a Sonoda to Sainz is going to save you, what, 7.7 million? So you could really do kind of not like a lot, but not a lot, because you kind of need to save more money. If you went Sonoda all the way down to Lawson, that saves you nearly 10 million. And then you're in business swapping out like a Williams to, let's see, Williams to like Red Bull is on the table. So that's 9.4. So like a Williams to like a Mercedes is on the table as well. So I don't mind that at all. Adil says, "Hola, I was the one on Twitter saying Red Bull greater than Ferrari here in Spain. Crushed it, Adil." Yeah, I think you are. Yeah, I remember that. So thank you for kind of putting that in there. Do you think Albon is an option for this week? Point scoring, yes. Budget building, no, Jow. So that's kind of up in the air there. But I think a lot of us are going to use Albon as like kind of a make weight to get from like Mercedes to Ferrari or Red Bull, whoever looks better in FP1 and FP2. El Pepe 3000 says, "Monaco Grand Prix was fire for me. FP1, FP2, FP3 quality were so much fun to watch. Maybe the race a bit frustrating, but still seeing them go through the streets of Monaco at those speeds will never get boring." I love it, El Pepe. I love the optimism. Nixie says, 3 transfers. I can get to Sainz, Lawson, and change to Verstappen. No limitless teams can get to that without a hit. I'm tempted by that if Max looks good. He certainly has been good here in the past. Yes, 2022, win. 2023, win. 2024, win. So not bad at all, Nixie. Yeah, Verstappen could be a great differential this weekend. Graham says, if you could fit Russell in that team with Williams, would you even with his likely 0.3 million drop? That is a good point, Graham. So thank you for pointing that out. Probably not, but it's one of those things where like I hate not having the option. So I guess I was just maybe a little bit more miffed about that. Waleed says, "How do I check my overall rank?" Well, Waleed, if you are on here, if you're on the homepage, or if you're on my team, you go to leagues and then you go to public leagues. Let me get rid of your chat here so you can see it a little bit better. And then you go to public leagues, starter leagues, and then global leagues. There is your rank right there. T1, T2, T3. T3 is an absolute disaster. What are we going to do with that? Kai the Guy says, "Is it a bad idea to swap out Ferrari to run Piastri with Leclerc V-carb or Norris kick for budget building?" Would you have McLaren with that squad, Kai the Guy? Because I don't actually hate that all that much. I think I'd probably prefer Leclerc V-carb, just because I think Leclerc has a little bit better chance of rising this week, all the way up compared to Piastri. So I did some loosey-goosey math that the channel is, unfortunately a little bit famous for. And Piastri is only averaging 32.6 points per race when you take out all of the sprint races. There are just the sprint points this season. So 35 points means that Piastri is not even guaranteed a 0.3 price rise this weekend. Now, Leclerc isn't like getting 26s on the reg either, but just something to consider this week. If you're banking on a Piastri 0.3 price rise, I would maybe reconsider that a tiny bit. Austin says, "How sure do we think that Carlos will get driver of the day?" Not really, really sure. I think he has a good shot if he finishes like top 7. But if like Alonso scores his first points of the season, that could easily happen as well. Aston Martin are bringing some upgrades to this track. So that's something that we have to consider as well. Nice says, hey, very bad moves this week. With Gasly cost me 1.2 million and 40 points so far. And Williams, did they know qualifying is key in Monaco by going in mediums? So I know teams were doing the medium thing because it was the C4, C5, C6, just like in Imola where the 2 Aston Martins qualified in the top 10 with their medium runs. So maybe Williams was going that route, but it just didn't work out for them all that well. Waleed says, what made you think that Spain should be a no-chip race? I don't think it's like it's 9th for overtakes, so that means that like the back markers can kind of score some points, Waleed. And that's like not the delta you want with limitless chip. Final fix, it could be like a pretty, like the leaders can get overtaken as well. So like the final fix could be rough. No negative. There's only been 2 DNFs here in the last 3 seasons, so I don't really see a need for for the no negative. If you go with the kind of Norris, Piastri, Verstappen, that kind of build, I could see the autopilot chip coming into play. Wild card, if it's like McLaren looks bad with the new flexi wing rules that are coming into play this weekend, like a wild card could be pretty powerful. So I wouldn't rule out wild card either, but I don't think I'd go limitless. No negative, probably not. So yeah, I don't know if it's definitely not a no chip weekend, but like the weather looks fine. And then it's top 10 for overtakes in the season. So there's not as much of a delta to build into. Caleb says, I have same team as yours, but with Williams, thinking to change Albon to Lawson and Williams to Ferrari. What you think? That's what I suggested in my team selection video. You can go check that out. That's on the channel on F1 Fantasy Pole Position, which is still, we're looking to get to that 3,200 subscriber mark. So help me out if you are watching this right now and you are not a subscriber. I would love to have you on board as we make our way towards 3,200 subscribers. And we've got 85 viewers right now with 36 likes. So we just need like 5 more likes. 5 of you just need to hit that thumbs up button and we'll get to the 50% like kind of threshold there. Benods is in the chat. What is up, Benods? Pretty big regular here over at F1 Fantasy Pole Position. Yeah, I was thinking for my T3 to time to replace Ferrari with Williams and then replace Gasly with Behrman. Says I have Hadjar and Sainz. It leaves me 11.6 in the bank though. Oh, that's a lot of money. Yeah, I don't know where you'd even go with that. I guess if like Antonelli qualifies out of his like skin, you could final fix Behrman to Antonelli or something like that, but because then you don't suffer the price drop, but you get all the points of Antonelli, but probably not the best strategy there. But just something, I mean, with 11.6 in the bank, you would have a lot of places to go. Overlord says, I didn't limitless in Monaco, going triple Williams to build the budget. Should I consider limitlessing in Spain or just roll with regular transfers? Yeah, I kind of just answered that, Overlord. I know I'm a little bit behind in the chat, so, but like with Spain being top 10 for overtakes, it probably means that, like, we could go back here to the fantastic F1 Fantasy Tools website, where if you would like their premium tool, you can use promo code UN50 for 50% off your first month with all their team analyzer, league analyzer, hindsight, live scoring, all that fun stuff. Let's go here. Fantasy points. I've changed this here. Select all, save. So where is España? So like top 10 for overtakes, but there is a kind of a bigger delta here, I guess. Piastri 15, Sainz 16. These top assets here, maybe it's a little bit better of a limitless track than I am giving it credit for. Because like 7, 7, 6, 6, like all these back markers here are really not scoring a lot of points. Let's see the 2023 results. Maybe I should look into this a little bit more. But like, so here we've got like Joe and Stroll and Gasly and Alonso, Sonoda, all scoring kind of high points, which would take away from the delta of the Limitless. So 2024 was not a bad time for Limitless, but 2023 was not. Let's see here. Sammy says also a few friends would rather their team they support lose crash for the fantasy team. Would you prefer Liverpool/Ferrari to lose, but your fantasy benefits because of it? I would never prefer Liverpool to lose. Up the Reds, back on our perch, number 20, most successful team in English football. So get in there, the Reds. McLaren, they haven't had my heart since I was but a wee lad. So sometimes the F1 fantasy team does get in the way. I can't deny that a little bit. I was actually kind of curious over the offseason when like I was revamping the channel. I was like, man, I'm putting so much effort into this. Like when Australia comes around, am I actually going to be cheering for McLaren all that much? But when Lando and Oscar qualified P1, P2, and then Lando took the win, I was pretty pumped at like 6 o'clock in the morning. So yeah, I am a McLaren fan, but Charles getting pole would have been pretty sweet on the Limitless. I can't lie. Hi, Ewan says DS, thinking Piastri, Albon, and Bortoleto to Lando, Lawson, and Hadjar. Thoughts currently have Williams the second constructor. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I kind of like that. Lando is driving pretty well. Lawson's good. Hadjar's good. Gaining budget, gaining points. Very good DS. Never says if Liverpool get Verts, they are set to win the Champions League if he works in that system. Yeah, like Verts, Frimpong. My goodness. How many goals are they going to score next season? DS says, also already have signs. Yep, I like that, DS. Reckless Medic says, what do you think of a McLaren V-Carb, Piastri Verstappen, Hadjar, Lawson, Colapinto build for Spain? Swapping Mercedes for V-Carb gives me enough money to partner Verstappen with. That is spicy. I like that a lot, Reckless Medic. You get the budget game with V-Carb, Piastri, Verstappen. That is a really, really nice team. Can you get that with free transfers? Because that is awesome. Waleed says, I have the same team as you, but Behrman for Bortoleto. Should I roll? So you have Behrman instead of Bortoleto. Yeah, I think Behrman has a fair enough shot at 0.2 price increase that I don't mind him at all. William said Spain would be a trickier race for them. Not sure why. Yeah, I don't know. I was listening to the race.com podcast today. They're kind of Monaco Grand Prix review, and Mark Hughes, who's like their race expert, fantastic listen every single week, was like, I do not think Ferrari is going to be anywhere near as good in Barcelona as they are in Barcelona as they were in Monaco. So that's kind of where I did some more research, and I was like, oh, okay then. So yeah. But yeah, I'm not sure about Williams. I guess we'll see when free practice 1 and 2 come along on Friday. Bernard says, oh, I could be spicy with my T2. If I replace Mercedes with Williams, I can go up from Albon to almost anyone. I have 23.9. That is really nice. Really, I am planning triple Williams with Behrman Hadjar. I don't mind that at all. Let's see here. Where are we at? How far behind am I in the chat? Okay, not too far behind. Never says, I'm going into the weekend with exactly the setup you have right now. Piastri, Albon, Colapinto, Bortoleto, Hadjar, McLaren, Williams. But I'm thinking about V-Carb instead of Williams and then having enough money to switch Albon for a Ferrari Mercedes driver. Whew. Yeah. I like that. That's pretty good planning there. Nice 91 says, F1 Fantasy is roller coaster. 1 week you get everything right and think you'll reach top 1 world, and the next everything goes wrong and you get depressed. Yeah, it's nice when it's a triple header. I know coming off the last triple header, it was like a bad result, and I just kind of had to sit on it for 2 weeks, and that was a little bit annoying. So hopefully in Spain, it goes right. I can have 2 consecutive weeks of good results in my F1 Fantasy team for the first time this season. And then I can take a little bit of a tiny, tiny break and go with that. Hopefully, we will see it. I think I was looking at the calendar, and this is actually the second triple header of the season, but it's the last one until the final 3 weeks of the year. So it's like going to be a kind of weird because we've had so many races to begin the year already. It's been like a couple of months, and we've already had 8 races. So that is wild. or it'll be 9 races actually. Ethan says, seeing as Albon, Tsunoda, and Antonelli aren't really options, could you consider upgrading Piastri to Verstappen, seeing as there is probably spare budget? Yes, I could, Ethan. That's a good shout. But is Piastri gonna outscore, or is Verstappen gonna outscore Piastri by 10 points? That is tough to see. It might be nice to have that in the bank, and like say Piastri has like a tough qualifying, or like the McLaren race pace doesn't look that great due to this flexi wing, but it's looking good for Verstappen and Red Bull. It could be it could be like an opportunity to play the final fix chip. Like say Piastri qualifies 4th. It looks like McLaren's race pace isn't going to be that good, but Verstappen naps pole. That could be a good opportunity to play the final fix, just like coming out of nowhere. So having that in the bank is kind of nice. I don't think I'd take a -10 to do it, but the final fix wouldn't count against my transfer. So then I would just get all of Verstappen's points, which in Spain, I would think would include the 25 points for a win and probably a fastest lap. So 35 points on Sunday, which would be nice. Times 2 would be 70. Samir says, Albon, Behrman, Williams, or Hadjar, Bortoleto, Ferrari with Piastri, Sainz, Colapinto, McLaren. Dang, that's tough. I think for budget, Albon 0.2, Behrman could go down, Williams is going to rise, Hadjar has a pretty good shout. Dang, that's tough. Maybe I'd go Hadjar, Bortoleto, Ferrari, actually, Samir. I kind of want to say the first one off the bat, but with points and budget coming into my consideration, maybe option 2 there. Sammy and Nice 91 are talking. Williams said it would be trigger. According to Morse analysts, the track should suit them. Casper is in the chat. What is up? Hey, Ewan, how are you doing? I'm considering Piastri / Albon to Verstappen. Hadjar wants to go a bit differential, so 80% of the teams own Piastri, although I recognize his value. Piastri has to DNF at some point, right? Yeah, I think right now he's on like the 3rd longest streak in Formula One history without a DNF, and it just feels like that has to end some point. So, like, he's not always going to continuously keep going. We're at 77 viewers with 50 likes, guys, so you are crushing it. I'm not even going to bother you the rest of the stream. The last 23 minutes are plug free. Is that right? Would that be the correct term? G Langford is in the chat. What is up? 115.2 million budget. Oh my goodness. Piastri, Albon, Colapinto, Bortoleto, Hadjar, McLaren, Ferrari. 2 transfers. League rival using 3 transfers from Piastri, Albon, Bortoleto to Norris, Behrman, Lawson. Am I crazy to go Piastri, Albon to Verstappen, Lawson? Not at all. Love those moves, G Langford. Il Evan says, ran the successful Limitless in Monaco, now back to Piastri, Albon, Hadjar, Colapinto, Bortoleto, and McLaren, Mercedes. I'm actually heavily debating using wildcard and going Piastri, Sainz, Behrman, Lawson, Hadjar with McLaren, Red Bull. Whew. Yeah, that's nice. You might need a little bit of luck with the Sainz Behrman combo to gain budget, but Lawson should be good. Hadjar should be good. It's a pretty powerful setup, though. I really like that squad. What is your budget there, Il Evan? Let me know in the chat. Richo says, hi, Ewan. My bro ran Limitless and has jumped me to the top of the league by 26 points. I only have 2 transfers. Need to drop Gasly and pondering the next move. Have McLaren, Williams, Bortoleto, Colapinto, Piastri, Albon. Gasly to, I'm trying to think. So you need 1.7 to go Gasly to Sainz if you have that, but Gasly to Lawson would probably be kind of the easy budget building option there. Or all the way down to Alonso if you just want to go bottom of the barrel. G. Elford says, mentions of Sainz / Alonso for Driver Day, but Spain historically has voted for Norris, Max, Lewis, Vettel rather than Spanish drivers. Any reason to expect it to be different this year? It could be like a little sentimental because, now correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this is this the final season that Barcelona is getting the Spanish Grand Prix? I'm not saying that it won't remain on the calendar, but isn't the Madring coming online next year in 2026? So is this the last year? Maybe the public gets a little sentimental. Also, it's all controlled by bots anyway, so probably shouldn't overthink it too much because it's super random. And every couple of races, it's like, let's go with the hometown guy. And then afterwards, it's like, let's just think of something completely random. So, yeah, I won't stress too much, but maybe like on a coin flip decision, I'd maybe go with like the hometown driver just in case. Simon says, "Hi, started watching the stream this season and going much better than normal. So thanks so much, so much, and love the stream. What's your opinion of going all three McLarens if you could? If I could, I would. I'd love to see who your second constructor was and what the rest of your team looked like. But triple McLaren is not going to be a bad option ever. Do you feel this year is easier or harder to gain budget compared to other years?" That's a great question, El Pepe 3000. I would say it's easier to gain budget because last year it was solely based on that one weekend in a vacuum. But it can also be more rewarding. I think it's a little bit more fun strategically because we're kind of like eyeing up these guys. And personally, I think I'd have to go through my team, but I'm trying to think. I think I have now had Antonelli, Gasly, Ocon, Stroll, Albon, Sainz, Bortoletto, Hulkenberg, Behrman, Colapinto, and Hadjar all in my team at some point. Last season, getting down to the end of this year, I had Sargent slash Colapinto, Bottas, and Joe for like the entire second half of the season. I was barely making any moves. So this new budget system, I feel like, has kind of forced us all to have a lot more of the field in our teams. I have had Piastri since day one. I don't think I've had a single other driver outside of Limitless in the A tier. So I've been swapping around my B tier drivers quite a bit, but it's still punishing because you can lose a lot more budget. But I like it. I personally like it. I know it's kind of like a little bit of a maths problem and it gets a little bit frustrating at times, but I think I prefer it to last year's system. Yolita says, current T3 is Piastri, Albon, Gasly, Hulkenberg, Bortoletto, McLaren, Mercedes. 14K in the world. I'm using my wild card. Should I do Verstappen, Sainz, Lawson, Hadjar, Alonso, McLaren, Red? I love that, Yolita. Yes, that is awesome. Do you think Ferrari is scoring more points than Red Bull? I was thinking of running McLaren plus Ferrari, and if Verstappen looks decent, just swapping him in for Piastri. Yes, I was looking at this a little bit earlier. If I could get this up. So if we just want to, okay, so let's do this. Let's go here to F1 Fantasy Tools because they are fantastic. And we'll just look at Red Bull versus Ferrari here. If I get that, there we go. So like overall, Ferrari has been taking it to Red Bull a little bit, outscoring them most weekends. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's 5-3 in weekends, but 47.3 to 44.1. But we got a massive negative 23 in here. So going to things that like the teams can kind of control, I guess is what I want to say, is like the pit stop points plus this teamwork stuff. And then it's kind of like a little bit further of a gap here. It's 19.8 to 11.8 because that takes out the DNF. So Sonoda is really costing Red Bull, but like, man, having the constructor with Max Verstappen, it's tough. I think what I have to see, Friday is going to be really, really key between Ferrari and Red Bull because those are the two teams that have really been anti-flexi wing in the top 4 compared to McLaren and Mercedes, who have kind of like cracked the code and they've had pretty good results with it. So it'll be really interesting to see how it goes. I saw, oh man, I think it was someone was talking about the flexi wing. I just saw it this afternoon. And they were saying that it would actually not be surprising if Ferrari was getting the step. Everyone thinks that Red Bull is like hoping that this flexi wing technology is like the silver bullet to kind of like nuke McLaren a little bit, but it could really benefit Ferrari because then teams may not be able to run their car as at such a low ride height. and it should help Ferrari get back on track because since China, they've had to run their car a lot higher than they thought they had to because they got DQ'd. Let's get back into it here. Mr. Polly Woo says, how do you deal with the fantasy depression of a bad week? First time player and unintentionally committed to squad, including Gasly. I totaled 132 points. I need to make up 100. Plenty of time, Mr. Polly Woo. I am a toxic optimist, but like you got to reset. The nice thing about the beginning of the season is the races have come like that, like super quickly, so you don't really have time to dwell on what's been going on. But yeah, you got to just process it and get clear your head, take a walk, and yeah, it's not too bad. I mean, it is a game. I love making content about it. And it feels good when things are going good, and it doesn't feel great when things are going bad. But yeah, if you know, turn off the TV, go play Mario Party with your wife, is what I do, and then she crushes me at that, and then I'm far more depressed about getting crushed at Mario Party than my F1 fantasy team doing poorly. Austin is here, says also, thanks for all your insights. You're one of my favorite F1 fantasy content creators. Your hard work does not go unnoticed. I appreciate that, Austin. Thank you. Sammy says, even if you're sad, the violin segment by Tom makes you exactly. Yes, submit your lineup to Tom, Pop Panman F1 on X and YouTube, and you can laugh at yourself. I was on there just a few weeks ago after the no negative debacle in Miami, so go check that out as well. Reckless Medic says, can get to the McLaren VCAR Piastri Verstappen Hadjar Colapinto Lawson build with a -10 or hold Bortoleto instead of taking Lawson with 2 free transfers. Lawson looking to increase in budget is tempting, though. Yeah, that is tempting, Reckless Medic. If it's for budget, I think I would do it. Let's see. Carlos says, hey, Ewan, have you ever tried the autofill button in F1 Fantasy? Kind of fun to mess around with. Oh, goodness, this seems scary. But let's go try it. Since Carlos is recommending it, we will go check it out here real quick. What are the F1 fantasy gods gonna come up with 110.7 million budget? Hamilton, Behrman, Stroll, Ocon, Sainz, Red Bull, Mercedes. That's spicy. That is redonkulous. Also, that's like a -60 right off the bat. But kind of funny. Yeah, thank you for the tip, Carla. That's kind of interesting to look at. Matteo says, hi, Ewan. What do you think about Piastri, Norris/Max, Hadjar, Sainz, Colapinto, McLaren, and Haas/VCarb? I would definitely go with VCarb instead of Haas right now. And then, yeah, Norris/Max, I don't mind it. I don't mind it at all. Kip2 Mike says, I'm scared I have no idea what to do with my team. Piastri, Albon, Stroll, Colapinto, Hadjar, McLaren, Williams. Let's check it out here, Kip2 Mike. Let's check it out. Stroll, I think we're going to get rid of Stroll. I think it's maybe bring in Lawson, maybe go to Carlos Sainz, save $1 million there. And then, I don't know, maybe just roll. I don't mind it. Augustina says, hello, nice to see you. I'm top 1,000 with 113 million budget. Cooked Monaco and got 256 points without any chips. Also got no negative and 3x in the pocket. For this race, I might change Leclerc/Albon. You might change to Leclerc and Albon? Because that would be very interesting. I like that. Nixie says that Chelsea are losing. Oh, lovely. But it will depend on practice who looks best. Might even take Norris and Lawson. Okay, I like that too. Il Evan says, my budget is 110.9. Budget for that. Piastri, Sainz, Behrman, Lawson, Hadjar, and McLaren Red Bull is only 110.7. What you have exactly. There we go, Il Evan. I like that. Austin and Reckless Medic are chit-chatting here. Steiner says, McLaren, Williams, and Piastri. McLaren, Williams, and Piastri, Hadjar, Lawson, Bortoleto, Colapinto. 1 transfer, or McLaren, Red Bull, and Piastri, Hadjar, Lawson, Bortoleto, Colapinto. 2 transfers. I have 103 in budget and 1,367 points. Let's see here. I think you are the name of the game for you, Steiner, right now is building budget. So I guess I would go with Williams. Zhao says, I think I will go for Piastri, Lawson, Hadjar, Colapinto, Albon, McLaren, Ferrari. I like that. I like that. Joe says, I can do triple McLaren with kick. Budget is 112.3. Thoughts? I mean, I don't hate it. Kick set for their third consecutive 0.6 price rise if they can just avoid the DNFs. So I don't mind it. It just depends on what we see on Friday with this flexi wing stuff. Because Red Bull, Max Verstappen, really strong here. 3 wins in a row. I think I saw it was Rob. Where are we? Rob, where are you at? I had your article up. The F1 Fantasy Strategist Selection, special contributor Rob, aka one of the F1 Fantasy GOATs. Where are you at? You just had it on here. Red Bull. Yeah. So, yeah, the Spanish Grand Prix is something of a stronghold for Max Verstappen, the Dutchman having recorded 8 podiums in his last 9 visits to Barcelona, including 3 consecutive victories between 2022 and 2024. So, yeah, can't really go wrong with Max Verstappen, but McLaren has looked so strong. It just depends on what this flexi wing. I think they've had so much time to deal with this. I think this technical directive came in, what was that? Late December, early January, that I think they'll be fine. But we'll have to wait until Friday to kind of figure that out. Arjun says, I think Merck is going to struggle big time. Williams could be the 4th best team this weekend. If they are, then Williams is on the table too. Sammy says, Chelsea are losing. I love it. Good day, sir, says Fraser. Good day to you, sir. Leica says, best team for 108.2 million budget. Let's see here. So I have 110.7. So I need to shave off 2.5 million. It might be something like this. Hold on. If we go with Racing Bulls, so it needs to be 9.5 or below. Bingo bango. There you go, Leica. Hopefully that helps. Let me know in the chat if that works. Free practice is going to be really interesting. With TD and other new parts shake up the order or make minimal difference? Will VCAR be looking stronger than Williams? All great questions, Craig, that I am very interested to answer, and I will answer them on my FP3 post FP3 pre-deadline stream on Saturday. So hopefully you guys can all make it. And this week, the return of the cool down room, 1 hour after the Grand Prix. We will be chit-chatting everything that happens in Barcelona, whether it's good, whether it's bad, whether it's shockingly devastating to our F1 fantasy teams. We will talk about it all. Augustinus says, it's crazy that Alonso is so unlucky this season so hard and now have the lowest value in fantasy, but even with that value, it doesn't seem very nice with what luck he had. Not at all. Very 2024 Alexander Albon-ish for Fernando Alonso. Jay Chong says, 103.8 budget, Piastri, Hadjar, Colapinto, Hulkenberg, Albon, McLaren, Williams. What we thinking? What are we thinking? Hulkenberg to Lawson and Hulkenberg to Lawson, and then that might be enough. Yeah, I think that's okay, Jay Chong. Yeah, Hulkenberg to Lawson. I kind of like that, actually. Not bad. Rob Green says, hey, Ewan, 111 million. Team is currently Piastri, Colapinto, Albon, Hulkenberg, Bortoleto, McLaren, and Mercedes. 2 transfers, undecided what drivers to change. Yeah, I don't love Hulkenberg this week. 10 points is quite a lot. So Lawson is right there. You don't have Hadjar, so you can go with Hadjar as well. -3 points right there as well. And that could get you enough to get into the kind of Red Bull slash Ferrari area. So I kind of like that, Rob. Do you recommend swapping out Albon for Lawson? I'm already swapping Hulk for Hadjar. If you want to gain budget, yes, because I think 15 points is borderline for Albon. 18 points in Imola, 4 points in Monaco, 27 points feels out of reach without like fastest lap or driver of the day. So 15 points there, but Lawson only needs 8 points for a 0.6 price rise. So I don't mind that at all. I think I'd go Sainz over. Maybe I go Sainz over Lawson, Lawson over Albon, and Hadjar. Sainz over Hadjar, Hadjar over Lawson, Lawson over Albon. Maybe that's where I'd go right now. Jay Chong says, I haven't played my wildcard yet. I have any ideas when a good window would be? Probably this weekend, Jay Chong, or Canada, to see how the new Flexi Win technology has kind of shaken out here with the F1 fantasy teams and what the results are like in F1, because they could shake up the grid quite a bit. They could shake up the grid not at all. But once you know what Friday looks like, if it looks like Ferrari and Red Bull are the best two teams on the grid all of a sudden, having your wild card is going to be super powerful compared to a lot of squads. Fraser says budget 116.9 million, current team McLaren, Kick, Verstappen, Piastri, Albon, Hulkenberg, Colapinto. Currently thinking swap out Hulkenberg / Colapinto for both V-card drivers. And then the budget just keeps on growing, Fraser. Have at it. I love that. EDP with a budget of 118.8. I didn't even know we could count that high. I feel like I'm in no man's land. Can't run 2 A-tier drivers and run 2 A-tier constructors since I swapped Mercedes for Ferrari. So maybe you just kind of try to jump on Williams for one more weekend here, EDP. Get that budget to the 120 million area. You can wait out Antonelli a little bit more as he falls into the tier B kind of price rises. Once that negative 19 falls off and the negative 2 falls off, maybe just running Williams for a couple weeks will get you that budget faster. But you could also differentiate yourself by getting like Norris or Verstappen. So that's kind of that as well. Reckless Medic says, have you tried Pat's F1 Fantasy Calculator? Can enter expected points for next 3 races to predict future budget increases. So I just saw that. So I haven't gotten into it yet. I need to go to the F1 Fantasy Discord and kind of just see where we're at. Like, yeah, I just want to see. I want to play around with it a little bit more, but it looks pretty interesting. So thank you for the heads up, Reckless Medic. Mac Attack says, what's good in the neighborhood? Nothing much, Mac Attack. Just chilling. Very late entry for me. That is okay. Fraser says EDP kind of feel the same, even with 116.9. Most teams I look at are about 109 to 11. So much budget on the table. Yeah, it's kind of bizarre. But something will eventually break. Like Sonoda could crack on this weekend. Maybe Red Bull looks great all of a sudden. You guys have enough budget to bring in Yuki Tsunoda when a lot of us cannot. But that is about. Oh, let's see. Lannister says, hi, can you do best team for 114.2 million? I mean, I can do it in. I would try and get to an area where, like, I'm at 111-ish million, and I want to get up. So I'm going to keep building budget for a while until I can hopefully grab on to, like, a low or lower B tier driver like Antonelli and like ride him into the A tier maybe. That would be great. But at 103, I think you should focus on it for like a few races for sure. Jay Chong, maybe up until like Spa in Belgium. If you like, it's kind of gonna, it's the thing about F1 Fantasy is that last week, the rank above my head said 150K, and I could have been freaking out, but the opportunity came around to play Limitless, and I jumped up 125,000 places. So patience is key. The patience that I showed with the Limitless let me play Limitless last week and avoided me getting in Pierre Gasly, which would have sucked and had like a very bad weekend overall compared to the Limitless teams as well. So that is where we're at. So I think just keep plugging along. Once we get down to like the final 10 races, then it's time to kind of like the business end of the season, that kind of thing, Jay Chong. So I think you're fine. But yeah, Lannister says, "Hi, can you do best team for 114.2 million?" Let's just see what F1 Fancy Tools says is the best team for you. McLaren, Ferrari, Norris, Behrman, Hadjar, Lawson, Colapinto. 114.2, 224 expected points, and a 1.1 expected gain. We can go form, which would be McLaren, Ferrari, Piastri, Albon, Hadjar, Lawson, Alonso. Don't mind that at all. Magatek says, "I hope the TD will change the pecking order even a little bit. I have to keep my hopes low so I don't get at this point like in Monaco." I think it'll shake it up a little bit. I just don't want us to like all pin our hopes on like Williams all of a sudden hitting podiums. Like, I don't think that's going to happen for sure. But that is my hour. I feel like a comedian, like finishing up their set or whatever. So I really appreciate everyone tagging along. If you're watching this on replay and you are not liking the video, like the video. If you're not subscribed to the YouTube channel, subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you want all the F1 Fancy Tools for 50% off the first month, you can use promo code UN50. And if you want to check me out on Saturday, I'll be live for an hour after FP3 doing a deadline live stream. And 1 hour after the Grand Prix on Sunday, I will do the cool down room, which is kind of like where we all take a deep breath and kumbaya and talk about our hopes and dreams and what went right and what went wrong in F1 Fantasy. But I really appreciate everyone jumping in. Hit me up on X at F1 Fantasy UN. Go check out my team selection video for the Spanish Grand Prix. Drop a comment in there and I'll respond to that, or on X, wherever you want, or on this video if you're watching this on replay as well. Happy to help. But hopefully everyone has a good couple of days. I will be tweeting about everything that goes on at the Spanish Grand Prix on Friday and Saturday. So I will be right there next to my phone the entire weekend, helping us all out with our F1 Fantasy teams. But hopefully you guys have a good Wednesday night. Thanks if you're watching it on replay, like and subscribe, all that fun stuff. But once again, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching, and I will talk to you next time.